The number you have been told about the best-known blood pressure diet is 11 points. It is in the articles, the videos, and the top of the search results. It comes from a guideline that was retired in August 2025. The document that replaced it puts the same diet at 5 to 8. Today, which foods actually move blood pressure and how big the effect really is? 3 things, in order. Why that number moved, which tells you something real about how diet studies work. What food is actually doing to your blood vessels, which is stranger and more specific than you think. And then the part you came for, the honest effect sizes with the uncertainty attached for every food that has trial evidence behind it. Chapter 1, the number that moved. The diet is called DASH, and the trial that made its name ran in 1997. 459 adults, 8 weeks. And here's the part that matters. Every single meal was cooked and handed to them. Salt was held constant across all 3 groups. Weight was held stable. People ate exactly what they were given about 94% of days. Against a typical American control diet, it lowered the top number by 5.5 points and the bottom one by 3. In the group who already had high blood pressure, it was 11.4. That is where the 11 comes from, 133 people. And the interval around it runs from about 7 all the way to 16. So why did the guideline come down? Because a feeding study answers a different question than your kitchen does. When researchers pooled 30 randomized trials, 5,500 people, mixing the fed studies in with the free living ones, the DASH effect came out at 3.2 points. Real, smaller, graded moderate quality, which is honest. And salt gets its own episode because that is a whole other argument. And when the diet is taught instead of served, it shrinks again. In a trial called Premier, 810 people were coached on lifestyle and one group got DASH counseling on top of that. The extra benefit from adding DASH was 0.6 of 1 point. Not statistically significant. At 18 months, the difference had faded to nothing measurable. One more piece of honesty before we move on. A Cochrane review in 2025 went looking for evidence that this diet prevents heart attacks and strokes. It found 5 trials, about 1,400 people, and not enough events to answer the question at all. Blood pressure, yes. Heart attacks, we genuinely do not know yet. Chapter 2, what food is actually doing in there? Start with potassium, because its mechanism is the clearest one we have. Your kidneys decide, minute by minute, how much salt to pull back out of the fluid heading for your bladder and return it to your blood. More potassium arriving shifts that decision. Less salt gets pulled back, more of it simply leaves. Now the strange one. Leafy greens and beetroot are full of a compound called nitrate. You swallow it, it gets absorbed into your blood, and then your body does something genuinely odd with it. It concentrates it in your saliva. About 1/4 of the nitrate in your blood gets actively pulled out and pumped back into your mouth. And living on the back of your tongue are bacteria that can do a chemical step your own cells cannot. They turn that nitrate into nitrite. You swallow it again. And further down, it becomes nitric oxide, the molecule your body uses to tell a blood vessel to relax. Your blood pressure depends in part on bacteria living in your mouth. If that sounds too neat, it has been tested, and the test is wonderful. Give people antibacterial mouthwash for 3 days, and their systolic pressure goes up by 2.3 points. Have them spit their saliva out after drinking beetroot juice instead of swallowing it, and the blood pressure drop disappears entirely. Kill the bacteria, lose the effect. Nitric oxide reaches the ring of muscle wrapped around your arteries and tells it to let go. The vessel widens. Same amount of blood, a wider pipe, less pressure against the wall. That is the whole mechanism, and it is why a bag of rocket and a blood pressure cuff end up in the same sentence. Chapter 3, how big really? So here's the whole thing on one axis. Every row is a real measured effect on the top number, with its confidence interval drawn as a bracket. Where a bracket crosses the 0 line, that result did not reach significance. And one rule before we start. These come from different trials and different people against different comparisons. This is not a league table. Potassium first, pooling 22 randomized trials, more potassium lowered systolic pressure by 3.5 points. graded high quality, which is rare here, but split it by who was in the trial and it changes shape completely. In people who already had high blood pressure, 5 1/3. In people who did not, nothing you could measure. Most people are not close to the target anyway. The American adequate intake is 3,400 milligrams a day for men, 2,600 for women. Those numbers were revised downward in 2019. So if you have seen 4,700 quoted, that is the old figure and it survives on nutrition labels. The average American gets about 2,500. And if you are picturing a banana, put it down. A medium banana has 422 milligrams. That is decent. It is also beaten by a baked potato with the skin on at 926, by a cup of white beans, by cooked spinach, by dried apricots, which have more than 3 times as much. The banana is famous. It is not the winner. And 2 honest footnotes. Almost every one of those trials handed people a potassium supplement, not food. Only 2 of the 22 used diet alone. And potassium is the one thing in this episode with a real safety limit. If your kidneys do not clear it normally, more is not better. It is dangerous. Kidney disease, heart failure, liver disease. If that is you, this is a conversation with your doctor before anything changes. Back to nitrate. In people with high blood pressure, pooling 11 trials, beetroot juice lowered systolic pressure by 5.3 points. But the certainty on that is graded low. There was no significant effect on diastolic and no significant effect on 24-hour monitoring either. Clinic readings moved, the all-day average did not. And now the part that almost never gets reported. The strongest trials used concentrated juice. To match that amount from food, you would need to eat about 130 grams of rocket every day, a whole bag. The biggest trial ever run gave 243 people either leafy greens or pills with the same nitrate in them for 5 weeks and found nothing. Neither one moved the 24-hour reading. Cocoa does better than I expected and worse than the headlines. Cochrane pooled 35 trials, 1,800 people, 1.8 points off the top number. Moderate quality, about 4 points in people who already had hypertension. But the reviewers also found that trials with industry-employed authors reported bigger effects, which is exactly the kind of thing you want your reviewers to check. The Mediterranean pattern holds up too. Cochrane, 30 randomized trials, 12,500 people, about 3 points off systolic, moderate quality. Worth knowing that its most famous trial was retracted in 2018 over randomization problems, reanalyzed and republished. The conclusions survive that. I would rather tell you it happened than not. Now the biggest one in the whole episode, and it is not a food you add, it is one you take away. 36 trials and the effect depends entirely on where you start. At 6 or more drinks a day, cutting intake in half lowered systolic pressure by 5.5 points. Graded high quality, which almost nothing here is. But read the rest of that table because it is more interesting than the headline. At 4 to 5 drinks a day, 3 points. At 3 drinks, about 1. And at 2 drinks a day or fewer, cutting further, did nothing measurable at all. This is not a linear dial. It is a lever that only has travel at the top. And one more that is not a food either. Across 25 trials, weight loss moved systolic pressure by about 1 point per kilogram lost. 5 kilos, about 4.5 points. That is one of the 2 largest levers in this episode, and I want to be careful how I say it. It is arithmetic from trials, not a promise about your body, and it is not a reason to be unkind to yourself. Chapter 4, what does not hold up? Nuts are on every list of foods that lower blood pressure. The largest review, 59 studies and nearly 10,000 people, found no effect on blood pressure at all. Not a small effect, not an unclear one. The certainty on the systolic number was graded moderate, which makes it one of the more reliable findings in this episode. Nuts do good things to your cholesterol. This is not one of them. Whole grains, same story. The Cochrane review found the systolic effect sitting on 0 and pointed slightly the wrong way. Oats specifically are genuinely contested. One review says nearly 3 points, another says nothing, and I am not going to pick the one I prefer. When 2 good reviews disagree, the honest answer is that we do not know yet. Then there is a category I have to handle carefully. Garlic, green tea, magnesium, and fish oil all have blood pressure numbers attached to them. Every one of those numbers comes from a capsule at a stated amount, not from food. Not one pooled trial anywhere has tested cooking with garlic. The magnesium review says out loud that it excluded dietary magnesium. So I have effect sizes I cannot honestly hand you as food advice, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And then the ones with nothing behind them at all. Apple cider vinegar. I searched for randomized trials measuring blood pressure and found 0. The biggest review of it pools 9 different outcomes, and blood pressure is not one of them. Celery juice. One published paper, a single patient, who was also getting chiropractic care. Lemon water, no trials, one observational study, industry co-authored, whose own analysis credits the walking. I want to be careful about what that does and does not mean. No evidence is not the same as proof it does nothing. It means nobody has run the trial, but it does mean that if something is being sold to you on the strength of a study, it is fair to ask which study, and nothing in this episode is a reason to change or stop anything you are already doing for your blood pressure. That is not a decision to make from a video. So, the short version. The 11-point figure is from a retired guideline. The current one says 5 to 8, and pooled across trials, it is closer to 3. Potassium works, mostly in people who already have high blood pressure. Nitrate has a beautiful mechanism and a disappointing food trial. Cocoa and the Mediterranean pattern are modest and real. And the 2 biggest levers in the whole episode are drinking less and losing weight, neither of which is a food you add. If that was useful, subscribe. Next time, your kidneys. What the early warning signs actually are and how early anything shows up at all. This channel is education, not medical advice. Nothing here is a diagnosis or a treatment plan, and food is not a substitute for anything your doctor has already put in place. If you have kidney disease or any condition that affects how your body handles potassium, talk to them before you change what you eat. I am an AI presenter, and everything here is drawn from the sources shown on screen. Thanks for watching.